Hey there, Parkside Students. So excited to continue our walk through the book of Philippians today. If you're following along in your Bible, you can go ahead and open up to Philippians chapter 1. We're going to be looking at the last few verses, 27 through 29. Well, there's this common theme in life that we like to wear things that represent who we're related to, who we're associated with. For example, you might wear a shirt with some sports stuff on it. I don't know if you can see, there's a couple different college teams on here, and you might assume about me that I love one of these teams and I keep up with them. Or maybe it's an organization, like this hat says Stream on it. My dad got it because he works in insurance and they give those things out at conferences. But another way that we kind of see this in a story from my life is that when I was in college, I was in a fraternity. And we did this really weird thing on Wednesdays called Wear It Wednesdays. And you would wear these things called letter shirts. And they would have the letters for your fraternity on the shirt, thus representing who you were associated with. Now, I kind of hated Wear It Wednesdays because my letter shirt that I got from my big was an aquamarine green and like a burgundy on the letters, and it just looked terrible. I don't know, maybe that's not my color, maybe I just really don't enjoy those colors, or maybe just those colors are terrible, but I really didn't like that day, and I always felt kind of lame wearing it around. But one of the things they told us when they gave us those shirts, they said, hey, when you're wearing these shirts, now of all times is a time not to be dumb. Why? Because if you get in trouble while wearing that shirt, you're associated with us. People immediately know that you're part of our group and you have a bad representation of our group. We know you're going to be dumb, but when you wear that shirt, be less dumb. That was a really, really encouraging challenge that they put before us. But whether we like it or not, it's a truth that we all represent somebody else. Whether it's our family, or an organization, or as it's a very true reality for believers, we bear the name of Christ. We represent his message. And so we're going to look at a passage today that kind of unpacks a little bit of this. So if you want to follow along with me, I'm using my handy-dandy phone. We're going to be picking up in verse 27. Nothing good like a smoothie burp. Here we go. Whatever happens, conduct yourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Christ. Then, whether I come and see you or only hear about you in my absence, I will know that you stand firm in the one Spirit, striving together as one for the faith of the gospel, without being frightened in any way by those who oppose you. This is a sign to them that they will be destroyed, that you will be saved, and that by God. For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for him, since you are going through the same struggle you saw I had, and now hear that I still have. Paul is putting this challenge before the church at Philippi, and it's a pretty tall challenge. He's putting the challenge before them to live a life that is worthy of the gospel of Christ. The gospel of Christ, the greatest news that has ever been brought to humanity. Live a life that is worthy of that. I don't know about y'all, but that's a pretty tall challenge, and I don't even know where to start. I don't even know what that looks like. Paul, luckily, provides us with 3 signs of what this will look like in our lives. Now, I don't believe this is an exhaustive list, but this is a great place for us to start this week working on as we seek to represent the gospel well. So here's the first one: unity in Christ. See, the gospel calls us to live life in a unified way. It calls us to be unified with others, not based off of our own good or based off of our own qualities, but based off of our relationship with Christ. You see, Jesus was all about redemption. Everything he did in coming to this planet, everything that he did and having a relationship with us was about redeeming us. And one of the things he wants to redeem is our community with one another. See, God created us in his image, and God represents community in its best format. And so because we're created in his image, he created us to live in community. He created us to live well with each other, and we've honestly messed that up. You don't have to look around very hard to see the issues we have in our world. Even amidst this coronavirus, we're fighting against each other, and there's so many different sides, and everybody thinks they have the solution. But honestly, we spend more time talking about how we think this person's wrong and this person's dumb, and they can be doing a better job. Christ just wants us to live in unity. And what he's doing in having a relationship with us is redeeming our community and bringing us together in a harmonious state. He wants us to live in harmony. Here's the second one: faith over fear. We've talked about this story a lot this semester, but I just think we need to hear it again. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the story of Jesus calming the stormy seas, and at the end of I gotta shut this. This one's killing me. At the end of this story, After Jesus has calmed the seas, he gets upset with the disciples, not because they didn't have the power to calm the storm, not because they didn't have the power to row through it, but because they lost their perspective amidst the storm. Remember, we defined fear as misplaced faith. That when we put our faith in a circumstance or a situation or power greater than us, but still lesser than God, and as a result, we're in incorrect relationship. We don't understand the natural way that things work as a result of who God is and his state as our creator. See, at no point is God trying to say that the things around us are weak and we can just kick them out of the way. What he's trying to say is that he is greater than them. He's not minimizing the coronavirus. I don't want to minimize the coronavirus, but he wants us to understand that he is Lord over that. He is greater than that. He has much more power than a virus ever could. And here's the last thing, is at the end of this, Paul talks about our struggle, and that following Christ means that we're going to struggle, means that we're going to suffer. But it's important to remember who we struggle and who we suffer as a result of. We are to wrestle against evil. Paul writes in Ephesians about who our enemies are. And he says, hey, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but we wrestle against evil. He goes about defining that in a bunch of different ways, but he says we wrestle against evil. We're not supposed to fight against people. We're not supposed to be at odds with other people and making them our enemies and going after them and trying to derail them. Our mission is against evil, not people. In fact, God says, hey, forget about fighting others. I want you to fight evil on their behalf. You see, when we fight against evil, when we push back against evil, we glorify God and we help bring about salvation for other people. It was never about putting others down. It was never about making ourselves better, but it was always about doing what God has called us to for his glory and for the betterment of their lives in relationship to Jesus Christ. So those are 3 signs of what it looks like to live a life worthy of the gospel. And can we be honest? Those 3 things can be pretty difficult. It can be pretty difficult when someone's making fun of you, when a non-believer is putting you down and coming after you to say, no, I'm gonna love them. It can be pretty difficult to be unified with believers around you. It can be pretty difficult in the midst of really tough circumstances to see God over that and to live life in correct perspective because of that. I'm not saying that this same thing can just happen today and you're gonna have all this down. It's a process. It takes time. But in the midst of all of that, Jesus transforms you and he changes you and he molds you into who he wants you to be. So here's your challenge for this week. If we want to live a life that's worthy of the gospel, we got to know the gospel. We got to saturate ourselves with the gospel. We don't got to just read it once. We don't just got to, write some notes down on it. We got to sit ourselves in the gospel and soak it up. So here's my challenge for you is every week we put out a reading plan on our student website. It's parksidechurch.cc/youth. You can just go to our website and you can click the banner or you can type in that specific link. Every week we put out a specific reading plan that's based off of what we're going off this week, based off of this talk that we just had. And so I just posted this week's reading plan this morning. We've got 5 days in it. My challenge to you this week is would you go and read through those? It's one passage a day, just a couple of questions. But it's going to saturate you in what the Bible has to say on these specific topics. And when it comes to understanding these topics, if our understanding is based in what the Bible, what God has to say about these topics, then we can understand what it means to live a life worthy of the gospel and act that out in our lives. Hey, students, I love you. I'm excited for this week. I can't wait to see you all on Friday. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.